Everyone, welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Video Game Fight School channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. So regarding the conversation on Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League and Gotham Knights and even Hogwarts Legacy, I think we're at a point where we have to start digging into a lot more numerical data in order for us to see if our hypothesis is kind of grounded on, something that is substantial. You see, no one's going to tell us why the game was delayed, the Suicide Squad game. And even still, as the, managers are talking about the on track nature of Gotham Knights and Hogwarts Legacy, I think it's kind of beneficial for us to be able to look back and see exactly where gaming was at that time that Rocksteady released its own video game. That's its last game, Batman Arkham Knight. So I went back and I looked at some data because I feel like it's the best picture that we can actually get a glimpse of. And I checked to see at the time of Arkham Knight, the video game console sales actually were indicative of, pretty much a whole lot of things compared to the video game sales of today. And so let's go ahead and look at how many PlayStation 4 consoles were estimated to have sold around the release of Arkham Knight and how many Xbox consoles. We'll compare it to today, and we'll look at some news that has just come up in the media sphere right now about Sony and their own potential sales for this particular year. Now, if you think about it, the numbers of consoles are something that we have to factor in, since Suicide Squad is not just a game that you can play on any console. It's a game that is designated for this current gen of consoles. All right, so I was able to glean some information from VG Charts, the website. And this is actually interesting. I'm happy that we had this information. And as of June of 2015, VG Charts already had that PlayStation total sales was around 24,092,000 units. That was the estimate. And Xbox was already around 13,250,000 units in terms of its total sales. So they have a chart here to that effect. And they also put the Wii U as another, unit in that whole category. So that's quite interesting. Now, we know that from yesterday's article that we saw on IGN that Sony had already basically, the report came out and said that Sony PlayStation 5s had sold around 17 million units or more. But again, something that was very interesting was this particular article came out. I don't know when it came out, but it said it came out February 2nd. I'm recording this video February 3rd, and it was updated at 5:45 p.m. was when they actually updated. So they had first posted it at 9:17 a.m. And so I don't know exactly what would have made that happen, but the title of the article says, Sony forced to cut its PS5 sales forecast by millions of units. Global parts shortages are continuing to hit how many PS5s can be made and sold. So Sony is expecting to sell fewer PlayStation 5 units in the current financial year than previously forecasted. The company slashed its forecast by millions due to ongoing component shortages. Sony had previously expected to sell more than 14.8 million PS5s by March 2022, a number that would have seen the console exceed PS4s on sales in its second financial year on the market. So they were expecting to have done way better than the PlayStation 4 sales by year 2, but apparently that's not going to happen. If you think about it, the PlayStation 3 console, the PlayStation 4 consoles also around June were somewhere around their second financial year in terms of, the way they do their calendar, maybe somewhere around the 1.5 year mark, right? So if you actually kind of think about it, at the 1.5 year mark, almost 2 year mark of the PlayStation 4 console release, it already had done more sales than even the 2 year mark of the PlayStation 5. And Sony is even saying, we may not even be selling that much for year 2. So this is something that we really have to pay very close attention to. Now, guess what? The Xbox console sales are actually the surprising factor here, because the Xbox total sales in terms of the Series X and Series X are the ones that are actually showing a lot of promise. I don't know what's going on, but it appears that Microsoft may have a leg up on Sony. So if you look up on Google, total Xbox Series X sales, let's look it up right here. You're going to see that the Xbox Series consoles have sold somewhere around 12 million units. So this is Series S and Series X. And these consoles launched around the same time. So it appears that Microsoft, compared to their last few years, is actually taking the cake in regard to their console sales growth. But at the end of the day, nonetheless, it doesn't really mean anything regarding, say, one is selling better than the other. If anything, what we're seeing is a lot of the video game companies that have bet their franchise on the next generation or this generation of consoles may be pulling back that bet because there seem to not be enough consoles to guarantee the sales numbers. Because as much as you may want your game to appeal to a wider audience, the reality is you're still going to have to deal with the huge majority of people that will never touch your video game. But what you're guaranteed is the number of consoles that are already available to play your game. And so this is why I think those consoles and video game manufacturers that are actually in a position right now to be releasing their games both on former gen and current gen, they still hold the biggest advantage. Perhaps it might make sense for some of these games to receive some kind of an optimization and a scaling to be able to work on the past generation consoles as a matter of sales. In one of my last videos, one of my audience members basically went ahead and commented and said, yo, you need to go ahead and take a look at the Xbox sales. And that's why I actually made this video. So I really appreciate the fact that you guys comment on these videos. It really, really does help me. It really does change, a lot of my perspective. And this is from Sephiroth. He was the one who actually said to do so. And in his comment, we basically talked a little bit about it. And I told him, I said, yo, I actually went ahead and I looked at these numbers, and it's quite interesting to see that, the Xbox sales don't really seem to speak too much into it. And right now we're just at that position where it's mostly about, the total combination of sales compared to last year. So in reality, what is going on right now is that because Hogwarts Legacy and Gotham Knights seem to have that console availability, I think Warner Brothers Montreal needs to go ahead and, prioritize getting this game out this year. And Sephiroth raised a great point in his comment. He said something about the Spider-Man game, because the Spider-Man that's coming out next year, Spider-Man 2, may also be affected by these numbers. Granted, the first Spider-Man game, 2018, I'm talking about, in terms of Insomniac, I guess, let me be very specific. That particular game did very well and actually got more consoles sold. Here's the difference though. There were consoles to buy at that time. In this case, there really aren't consoles to buy. And so it might make sense for Insomniac to do what they did with Miles Morales, which is make a PlayStation 4 version of Spider-Man 2 and even the Wolverine game. The Wolverine game right now is early in development. We don't know what the length of the game will be. There's still much going on, but I think right now, according to, what my audience member here just said, I strongly believe that that is a wonderful strategy that they can use to get game sales out. So Gotham Knights is not necessarily, a game that is in a unique position. Even other games that are being developed right now, they may have the opportunity to start to look and say, yo, we may need to put together a team of, 20 people that, scale down this game as we're churning it out and, making it to work on the PlayStation 5s. We need to get it on a PlayStation 4 development kit or an Xbox One development kit and see how we can get it out there, because it appears the PS4 and Xbox One, consoles are not going anywhere. They seem to be staying for a long period of time. But anyways, that's all I wanted to share today. If I have any more numbers, if I have any other perspectives, or even an additional, conversation regarding this, I'll be very happy to share it with you guys. Please leave comments in the comment section. You guys really do keep this conversation going. I appreciate everybody so much that's been engaging in the content. Thank you once again, and peace out.